From NPR, Ike's warning of military expansion 50 years later, and this was written in January 17th, 2011. Oh, nice. On January 17th, 1961, 50 years later, President Dwight Eisenhower gave the nation a dire warning about what he described as a threat to democratic government. He called it the military-industrial complex, a formidable union of defense contractors and the armed forces. He led the Allies on D-Day. The immense military establishment that had joined with a large arms industry. Yeah, the industry. Corporate and private arms. And tech and surveillance. And making all the databases talk to each other. And mammon. All right. Okay. And then what it's become, it has only become more difficult to control the size of the nation's military industry. There are only a handful of defense giants, which means you can't shop around for a better price. And companies such as Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman are also adept at both lobbying and marketing, to promote their interests. Marketing, PR, public relations, propaganda when it gets to trying to convince hearts and minds of people to give their children to the armed forces, to get behind wars that create hatred and pull at our emotional lizard-type brains. And if you believe their game, then you go on a really dark ride. I know. That leads to Christian Zionism. Or it started there, or something about that, right? The fundamentalist church. What a fucking nightmare. All the churches, what a nightmare. All the pedophilia. Holy God. Okay. They also spread the jobs around the country to lock in political support, right? So who don't we know that was successful, who could pay their rent, and maybe even afford to go wine tasting, who worked at Lockheed Martin. And so many of the residents of Silicon Valley. Gates also discussed the difficulty of cutting military spending. What it takes is the political will and willingness, as Eisenhower possessed, to make hard choices. Choices that will displease powerful people, both inside the Pentagon and out. Yeah, well, he said that as a farewell speech, right? And then they just took over from there. You're a bit B or something. Are you a B? Are you a what? Bowman says that some industry observers believe that the one thing that could create that political will is the nation's huge deficit. Oh, yeah. Only that might force cuts in the overall defense budget. Yeah, I don't think so. I think they use the deficit as well to control. I don't know. Marianne Williamson, save us. Michael Tellinger, save us. What was that book? The Sacred Economics by Charles Eisenstein. There's some good ideas in there. He presented at the Bioneers Conference. And I thought he was great. We should look into that some more. Yeah, it was a shoe like this in my dream, but it was purple and it was more head-on, and he was just crushing the skull of one of the folk in the corrupt circle of fuckery. So much fuckery. So much fucking fuckery. But look at this TikTok of Oz. I loved him. I just felt really safe with him. And he and Dorothy. I remember this one too. I forget the story. It was a long, long time ago that my mother read it to me. We read it together. It was before my sister was born. I miss my mom.